Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Reich. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Louisiana. I spend a lot of time dealing with money for businesses, individuals, taxes, giving a little advice here and there. Today, I think this kind of follows a similar vein in that. And the topic today is what alternatives are out there for NerdWallet. So, first and foremost, I don't have any issues with NerdWallet. I don't mind it at all. It does a really good job of educating people who just don't know about things. They don't know about how credit card APRs work or what a balance transfer is or how compounding works. And I think it does a really good job of explaining a lot of that, but it could do a better job of helping you find the tools that you need. Like if you're looking for a credit card to get points to go on vacation, you need a personal loan, but you need a low rate because you don't want to waste a ton of money on interest. I think it does okay there. It does not excel, in my opinion. So I want to talk about some alternatives to that. I've helped people get themselves out of a jam whenever it comes to their household finances or business finances, and basically want to go over the tools that can compare different financial products. Now, as a caveat, I'm a CPA. I'm not a certified financial planner. None of this is financial advice. This is just me talking about what I like seeing in these different platforms. So take all of that with a pinch of salt. I'm not here to advise you specifically. I'm here to talk about the pros and cons of the platforms, what I like about them, and what I don't like about them. So now that we've got the boring stuff out the way and the backstory, let's jump into who does a better job than NerdWallet. So the first thing I want to talk about, the first platform is Best Money. They're all going to look kind of similar, right? They're all going to offer things like credit cards, personal loans, bank accounts. They're just these financial search engines, basically. So what I like about Best Money is it is not nearly as busy as NerdWallet just was. I just flipped from the other screen. Best Money is very clean, to the point. What do I need? Okay, maybe I'm looking to buy a house. It's that time of life where, I want to buy a house or upgrade, make a larger house. It's right there. I don't have to be flooded and inundated with all the different options out there. Now, keep in mind, guys, all these platforms work by basically getting sponsors or like lead generation, and that's how they make their money. So they're going to try and show you as much as they can, but some of them might be pushed to the top, for instance, just because that partner with that platform has paid a little bit more than some of the other folks on the platform. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying Best Money does it. I'm also not saying that they don't do it. Just, take everything you see with a grain of salt. Some of the things that I like about this platform are they don't spam you like NerdWallet does or LendingTree does, for instance. You're going to put your information in here. Someone will reach out from the platform that you're interested in trying out. But I've done mortgage applications through a broker when buying my first home. And guys, when I say I could not use my cell phone, I had to block every caller that was not in my contacts list. It was a setting in my phone. And I had to block every caller because, I had to be getting 40 or 50 phone calls a day. And so that's a really big deal that I really appreciate. So just keep that in mind. That's definitely like a quiet plus for Best Money. The other things that I like about them is rather than listing like just a ginormous range for some things, like for credit cards, they're going to be able to help dial in based on your credit score. If you create a profile and start looking into some of these, they'll narrow it down a little bit. They're not going to say, hey, it's anywhere from 5 to 35% APR. They're going to give you a better sense of this is where you'll probably end up. And so that's definitely a more streamlined experience in my opinion. But you can see as I flip through the platform, they have a very suave, easy to follow interface. They're working with big name brand banks. Like it's just refreshing instead of getting all those pop-ups so you're not sure what's real, what's not. You can flip between the different types of bank accounts, what you're after. So anyway, just a really nice platform. Okay, guys, the next one I want to talk about is Bankrate. Bankrate is it's seasoned. It's been around for a long time. So the scope of Bankrate is just massive. They're going to do all those big ticket items, mortgages, home equity. They're going to be able to help you if you need an advisor, stuff like that. So I would say Bankrate's really made for if you're looking for like long-term debt. They obviously are going to do the credit cards and the short personal loans, but mortgages, savings accounts, they can pair you with an advisor. Their path is longer. I think that's where they shine. The other things that they do is they're consistently updating. So they have comprehensive national surveys for things like savings accounts and CDs, certificates of deposits, not compact disc. And so they're giving daily updates on those rate trends. And when you're in a rate environment like we are right now, where it seems like it's constantly swinging the needle, it's nice to have an updated rate instead of one that's 30 days old, because that could be the difference between 75 basis points on a mortgage, which is huge. That's huge. That's the difference between 4% to 4.75%. So definitely a plus. And then they also have like really good tools. Bankrate does for like calculators on mortgages, auto loans, stuff like that. And so they're going to give you amortization. They're going to show you the schedule on that, the cost of the loan, interest, and then how like a change in your credit score, for instance, could impact your rate and therefore impact the life of that loan. So Bankrate, been around for a while. They're a good platform. SmartAsset, honestly, guys, a lot of these are good platforms. It just depends on what you're looking for. Anyway, SmartAsset, they take a different approach. So they're not necessarily here to sell. I mean, they will, but they're not here necessarily to compare like credit cards. They want to pair you with an advisor. They want to give you a longer path than the next 30 days. They're going to say, well, what are your retirement goals? How can we get an advisor in your lap? And that's how they make money, essentially, is by matching folks to different advisors. They're bridging the gap. They're focusing on your 20-year retirement plan and not the APR on your credit card that you're going to get next week. So that's really fresh. Their content is updated relatively frequently, but once again, their focus is on education, longevity, not necessarily the nature of like the different flash sales that you can get for different banking opportunities or credit cards or anything like that. Like that's not what their bread and butter is. And so to me, the tools are designed to show you long-term impact of financial decisions. So if you want a quick side-by-side comparison of like checking out different accounts, you may want to use some of the other resources on this list. So I thought this one would be interesting to include just because, well, they're different. They're a little different from everyone else. Everyone else says, find our mortgage lender. This one says, let's talk about how a mortgage works. Maybe put you in front of someone who can explain how these payments work, what escrow is, stuff like that. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is WalletHub. So this one is really all about credit to me. They have comparison tools. They've evolved significantly over time. They didn't always have them. WalletHub used to just almost be pigeonholed as like a credit score monitor service. So they have credit cards, credit scores, credit monitoring. If your financial life is just obsessed with that, hey, these folks are for you, right? They do offer daily score updates. The only other platform I know that does that is Credit Karma, but once again, Credit Karma is super salesy and owned by Intuit. That's a whole other beast. I could definitely go off on a tangent and get on a soapbox regarding that. So, but WalletHub does offer those daily updates if you're just obsessed. Because they're tied into the major credit bureaus, they have really fresh details on your personal data. That's how they're able to update those daily. But their marketplace is for savings accounts. It's not necessarily geared towards savings accounts or mortgages. Those always seem like an afterthought to me whenever you're looking at their like credit card best of list, which we'll jump right over here and you can just see it looks very similar to a lot of the other ones that we've talked about today. So just keep that in mind. It's their specialty is going to be credit cards. You can look at some of the other ones, but it's just not going to be as detailed as some of the other ones on this list. For instance, Best Money, or if you want to jump back over to them and learn some stuff while comparing, NerdWallet. The last one I want to talk about has been around for a while. This is money.com. They used to just be a magazine. They have some really good, excellent best of lists. And so whether it's like best of banks for 2026 or the best life insurance for seniors, they've got a really detailed scope, and I feel like they're relatively well researched. I would hope if you've been in business since 1972, you've probably learned that it's worth your time to do good due diligence. So their research is rigorous. That leads to really high quality recommendations. but it can kind of mean that sometimes their lists aren't the most up to date. So keep that in mind. They might be updating monthly or quarterly as opposed to some of these that are doing it almost daily. So as for like the depth of their offerings, if you want to know why a bank is rated number one, they'll be able to tell you. They'll have an editorial, a blurb, something like that. So that's very akin to what NerdWallet has done and is what was and is well known for. In that, hey, they'll show you what offers out there, but they're also going to talk about, hey, here's the background of like why this credit card is made out of metal instead of plastic. You know, they probably have an article for it. So why does all this matter though? Why am I even talking about this? So the first thing is to help educate you guys, you know, what to look out for. So one thing that I would definitely be aware of whenever you're shopping around on some of these different platforms, for instance, is the range trap. So whenever you are looking for the product that you're after, if it says 7 to 29% APR without a way to like pre-qualify you for that card or for that loan, you probably need to move on. You want to use a platform that's like Best Money or WalletHub that can help you narrow down that range based on your actual credit profile. You know, you don't want that sting of getting rejected. Another thing that you need to look out for, stay away from those super ad-heavy interfaces where you can't tell if something is sponsored, pushed to the top. You can't tell if it's an objective recommendation or a featured ad or if it's actually paired to you. Like, if you're just getting flooded, try a different platform. Try any of these. Try a different platform. But keep, you know, a good platform is one that's easy to follow, clean, stuff like that. And then find one that if you need something like multiple financial products, a lot of these things are intertwined. So like if you get a credit card, your score is going to drop a little bit and then it might go up because you have a lower credit card utilization rate. A lot of these things are tied together, so you need to make sure that you're keeping a pulse on, you know, if you get a credit card, do you really need to go get that personal loan? You want a platform where you can compare all of these things together at once in the same session without having to swap over to a different interface, different platform. So make sure you pick one that's got like pretty good depth. So overall, guys, they all work the same way. They all do the same thing. But you need to make sure you're just on the lookout for some of those ads, the range trap. Make sure you're not wasting time reading a bunch of blurbs if you already kind of are educated about a lot of this, you know, so you can stay away from NerdWallet or Money.com. If you're looking just for results, you know, I like to save time. I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours agonizing over something. You know, let me do my research, figure out what I want, what I like. All right, let's do it. Pick a platform that's quick, concise, and clean, and you'll probably be better off for it. So to me, that's going to be Best Money. But, you know, if I want to learn something, I'll check out NerdWallet. I'll check out Money.com, check out Bankrate, Investopedia. If I'm interested in monitoring my credit, I would check out WalletHub or Credit Karma because they also do that. You know, and if I'm just trying to figure out where am I going to go long term, I'd look at SmartAsset and maybe sit down with an advisor. So they all have their different roles. Pick the one that's going to be best for you. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed the video because this was a pretty fun one to make. I feel like this is not something that's talked about, but it impacts everyone who, you know, spends money. So anyway, just think it was a nice video that can be watched by someone other than just business professionals. So anyway, it was nice making it. I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you all in the next one.